The group chat notification pinged at 11:47 p.m. while I was reviewing quarterly reports. Madison has shared a document with book club girls. I stared at my phone, confused. My wife was asleep upstairs. Madison had used our shared Google account for years. She must have forgotten I still got Drive notifications. What document could she be sharing at midnight with her book club friends? When I traced that notification and discovered what she'd been hiding, it would either save my 6-year marriage or end it. But one thing became crystal clear. She would never again mistake my generosity for weakness. What I found wasn't just betrayal. It was systematic contempt documented in meticulous detail, shared for entertainment, and about to trigger a response that would leave her questioning everything she thought she knew about the man funding her lifestyle. The categories were brutal. Emotional support 1/10, refuses to discuss feelings. Household contribution 2/10, expects praise for basic tasks. Financial partnership 2/10, uses provider role to control decisions. But the part that destroyed me was at the bottom. Discussed with book club. All agree this assessment is generous. She'd been sharing this humiliating evaluation with her friends for months. They'd been laughing about it over wine while I worked 60-hour weeks to pay for her lifestyle. I photographed every page, placed everything back exactly as found, and walked to my home office. The shock gave way to ice-cold clarity. If I was a 210 provider, then she was about to learn what that actually looked like in practice. But what I planned next would change everything between us forever. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what this husband does next will blow your mind. Monday morning, I drove straight to First National and opened a separate business account. My $140,000 software engineering salary would now flow there first, not into our joint account. I want to restructure my investment portfolio, I told my financial advisor, Daniel. Remove Madison as beneficiary from everything except the house and my basic life insurance policy. Daniel raised an eyebrow. This seems sudden, Connor. Are you sure? I'm implementing what my wife calls financial equality, I replied coolly. She'll appreciate the independence. I spent the next hour creating a detailed spreadsheet. Every expense, every contribution, every financial decision over the past 3 years. The numbers were brutal. My contributions, $127,000 annually. Hers, $31,000. Yet according to her scorecard, I was the one failing as a financial partner. By Wednesday, I'd quietly restructured our entire financial foundation. Premium credit cards, removed her as authorized user. Our Costa Rica vacation fund, redirected to my personal Vanguard account. Her spa memberships and shopping allowances, canceled under budget optimization. But what I discovered when I checked her browser history that evening would prove she was already 3 steps ahead of me. Smash that like button if you think she got what she deserved, but this husband isn't done teaching lessons yet. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait for her to walk into it. That weekend, Madison suggested an expensive dinner downtown. Let's cook at home instead, I said with a smile. I'm being more financially responsible these days. The confusion on her face was priceless. Since when do you worry about restaurant costs? Since I started taking our financial partnership more seriously. Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't push it. Yet, the first real crack appeared 2 weeks later when her premium credit card got declined during a shopping trip with her girlfriends. She called me, voice tight with embarrassment. There must be some mistake with the card, she said, barely controlling her irritation. No mistake. I removed you as an authorized user. Dead silence. Then, you what? Why would you do that without discussing it? I'm reassessing our financial arrangement. Since we're apparently not equal partners, I'm making adjustments accordingly. What are you talking about? Her sweetness vanished entirely. We'll discuss it when you get home. That evening, she stormed through the front door like a hurricane. You humiliated me in front of everyone. The card declined and I had to borrow money from Jessica. I looked up from my laptop with measured calm. I'm sorry you felt humiliated. That wasn't my intention. Then what exactly was your intention? I closed the laptop and gave her my full attention. I've been thinking about equity in our relationship, about fair contributions and expectations. So you decided canceling my card was the solution? Her voice cracked with disbelief. It's not canceled. It's just no longer linked to my account. You have your own income now, your own career. I thought you'd appreciate the independence. Something shifted in her expression, from anger to calculation. Is this about money? Are you having financial problems? Not at all. My finances are excellent. I'm simply reevaluating what fair contribution looks like in our marriage. The next bombshell dropped when she discovered I'd canceled our anniversary trip to Costa Rica. She found the cancellation email and confronted me, waving her phone like evidence. You canceled our anniversary vacation without discussing it. I did. I've decided to use those funds differently. For what? She demanded. Personal investments. This is childish, she snapped. If you're upset about something, we should talk like adults. I leaned back in my chair. I'm not upset. I'm adapting. Adapting to what? The reality of our relationship, to your expectations and assessments. Fear flickered across her face. She left the room without another word. That night, I heard her on the phone, voice hushed but urgent. I think he knows. No, I don't know how. What should I do? That won't work with him. You don't understand. He's different now. Different indeed. The man who accepted a 210 rating was gone. She thought she'd quietly humiliate me with a secret scorecard. She had no idea I was about to change the rules of the entire game, and what I was about to reveal to her would shatter her world completely. If you're loving this revenge story, smash that like button because this confrontation is about to get nuclear. The breaking point came when Madison tried accessing our joint savings for a girls' weekend in Miami. Her expression as she stared at her phone told me everything. Why is there only $3,000 in our savings? She demanded, storming into my office. I moved some funds to more productive investments. Without telling me? That's our joint money. Correction, that was excess from my contributions. I calculated exactly what proportion you've contributed and left that amount untouched. She stared at me, momentarily speechless. What's gotten into you lately? First the credit card, then the vacation, now this. Are you punishing me for something? I set my pen down deliberately. Not punishing, realigning. There's a fundamental disconnect in how we view this marriage. What disconnect? You're the one suddenly changing all the rules. I stood up slowly. Time we had a proper conversation. I gestured to the chair. Sit down. Something in my tone made her hesitate, then comply. I reached into my desk drawer and removed a black folder, placing it between us. 3 weeks ago, I found your Marriage Equality Scorecard while looking for insurance documents. The color drained from her face instantly. You've been rating me as a husband for 6 months, sharing those ratings with your friends, and never once bringing your concerns to me directly. You went through my private things. Finding your scorecard was accidental. What I did afterward was deliberate. I opened the folder, revealing my own meticulously documented assessment. This is my response. An objective record of our contributions backed by financial data, time allocation, and concrete examples. She stared at the documents, speechless. According to your scorecard, I'm a 210 provider. So I've adjusted my financial provision to reflect that rating. You scored me 110 for respecting boundaries while sharing intimate details of our marriage with your book club. Interesting double standard. You don't understand, she finally managed. The scorecard was just a venting exercise. My therapist suggested. Don't. My voice cut through her excuse sharply. Don't insult my intelligence by claiming this was therapeutic. Therapy builds bridges. This was designed to burn them. She shifted tactics. Maybe I was frustrated, but this reaction is extreme. Cutting off finances, canceling trips. This feels controlling. I laughed, not bitterly, but with genuine amusement. Now that's ironic. You create a system to control and evaluate my behavior without my knowledge, and when I respond by controlling my own resources, I'm the controlling one? Here's what's actually happening, I interrupted, voice level but firm. You decided I was failing as a husband without giving me opportunity to address your concerns. You shared that assessment with others, undermining my dignity. Now you're experiencing the natural consequence of undervaluing a partner's contribution, the withdrawal of that contribution. Her eyes narrowed. So this is about your ego, your hurt feelings because I criticized you. No. This is about honesty and respect, both of which have been lacking from your side. I'm not hurt. I'm awake. I slid a document toward her. These are my terms moving forward. Option 1. We separate finances completely and permanently. You pay exactly 50% of all household expenses. No access to my accounts, credit, or investments. She glanced at the paper, hands trembling slightly. Option 2. We attend marriage counseling where you explain your scorecard to a professional and we rebuild with complete transparency. And if I refuse both options? Option 3. I replied coolly. I contact a divorce attorney tomorrow morning. You'd throw away 6 years over this? Her voice quavered. I'm not the one who reduced 6 years to a failing grade on a scorecard. You decided this marriage was worth 2/10. I'm simply responding accordingly. She picked up the document with unsteady hands. I need time to think. You have until tomorrow evening. I've already given this 3 weeks of thought, which is 3 weeks more consideration than you gave before judging me. As she left my office, I noticed something I hadn't seen in months, a glimmer of genuine respect in her eyes, buried beneath the shock and anger. Smash that like button if you think he handled this correctly, because what happens next will surprise you. She didn't wait until the next evening. At 3 a.m., I awoke to find her sitting on the edge of our bed, crying in the darkness. I know you're awake, she whispered. Please talk to me. I sat up but maintained distance. It's the middle of the night. Whatever you need to say can wait. I can't sleep. I can't stop thinking about everything. She turned on the bedside lamp. The scorecard was wrong. I was being influenced by my friends. They're all into this relationship equality workshop thing, and I got caught up in it. I studied her expression. So you're saying you lied on the scorecard, or you're lying now? She flinched. Neither. I just wasn't being fair. I was focusing on negatives and ignoring all the good things. And sharing this unfair assessment with your friends seemed appropriate because they were sharing theirs too. It became this competitive thing, like who could find the most flaws in their husband. She looked down. It was toxic. I see that now. You see it now because there are consequences, not because you had some moral epiphany. That's not true. I love you. I've always loved you. Love without respect is meaningless, and respect isn't something you feel, it's something you demonstrate through actions. Your actions have shown profound disrespect. She moved closer, reaching for my hand. I allowed the contact but didn't reciprocate. I'll fix this. I'll do whatever it takes. That brings us back to the 3 options I presented. I don't want separate finances, and I don't want divorce. I'll do the counseling. I'll schedule a session this week. Can't we just work through this ourselves? I'm admitting I was wrong. You're admitting it at 3 a.m. in private when faced with serious consequences. That's not accountability, it's damage control. I withdrew my hand. Counseling is non-negotiable. The next morning, she attempted to transfer funds from another joint account I hadn't restructured yet. I received an email notification and immediately called the bank to freeze it. She called minutes later, voice tight with frustration. You froze our checking account too? After you attempted an unauthorized transfer? Yes. I was just moving money to pay bills, she claimed. Which bills specifically? Since I paid all the utilities last week, as I always do. A pause. Fine. I was transferring money to my personal account as a precaution. You've been acting unpredictably and I'm scared. No, you're not scared. You're adapting, just as I have been. The difference is, I'm being transparent about it. The lies were crumbling. Her desperation was showing. And the real battle was just beginning. If you think he's handling this right, hit that subscribe button, because the counseling session reveal will leave you speechless. Our first counseling session revealed everything. When the therapist asked us to describe the conflict, Madison presented a sanitized version. She'd created a relationship assessment as a personal exercise. I'd found it and overreacted, and now I was financially punishing her. I listened without interruption. When she finished, I silently placed copies of her scorecard on the coffee table. The therapist's eyebrows rose as she read. You shared this assessment with friends? It was just venting, Madison insisted. That doesn't answer my question. Yes. I shared it. We were all doing it as part of a workshop on relationship equality. The therapist turned to me. How did discovering this make you feel? Initially, betrayed. But my response wasn't about feelings. It was about realignment of expectations. If I'm being evaluated as a 210 partner, I should adjust my contribution accordingly. The session proceeded with uncomfortable revelations. The therapist skillfully uncovered the root issues: Madison's resentment of my higher income despite benefiting from it, her friend's toxic influence on her perception of our marriage, and her fundamental lack of respect for my role in our partnership. "Let me be direct," the therapist said after nearly an hour. "This scorecard reflects profound contempt. Contempt is the single greatest predictor of relationship failure." Madison began crying. "I didn't see it that way. I just wanted him to do more." "More than what?" I asked quietly. "I've covered the majority of our expenses for 6 years. I've supported your career changes. I maintain our home. What exactly wasn't enough?" She had no concrete answer, just vague complaints about emotional labor and feeling unheard. 3 more sessions followed. In each one, Madison's position weakened as her contradictions emerged. She wanted equality, but expected me to carry the financial burden. She demanded respect, but showed none herself. She sought emotional validation, but ignored my needs. After our 4th session, we drove home in silence. Finally, she spoke. "I understand now why you reacted the way you did. I wouldn't have tolerated someone treating me the way I treated you." I nodded, but waited for more. True accountability requires more than acknowledgement. The scorecard wasn't just unfair, it was cruel. And sharing it with my friends was a betrayal of our privacy. I got caught up in their approval and forgot about respecting you. And the financial changes I've made? They're fair. If I want an equal partnership, I should contribute equally. I just never thought about what that actually meant until the money wasn't there. We sat in our living room facing each other. "Where do we go from here?" "That's your decision to make." Surprise colored her voice. "You're giving me the choice?" "I always have been." The 3 options still stand, with a 4th now added: complete reconciliation with redefined terms. What terms? First, absolute transparency. No private scorecards, no discussions about our marriage with your friends. Second, financial contribution proportionate to income. Fair, not necessarily equal. Third, mutual respect demonstrated through actions, not just words. I held her gaze steadily, but know this: I will never again accept being undervalued or disrespected. That version of me is gone. 2 days later, I received notification that she'd closed her personal checking account and returned to using our newly established joint account, the one requiring dual authorization for major transactions. That evening, she placed a shredded purple folder in the trash. I left the workshop group, she told me over dinner, and I told my friends I wouldn't participate in their husband-bashing sessions anymore. I nodded in acknowledgement. Good decision. Hit subscribe if you want to see how stories like this end, because the conclusion might surprise you. 6 months later, our financial partnership had been completely restructured. She contributed proportionally to her income. I maintained the majority of expenses, and every transaction was transparently documented. The power dynamic had shifted, not in my favor, but into balance. 1 year after finding her scorecard, I discovered a new document in her desk drawer. Not a scorecard, but a gratitude journal with daily entries about our marriage. One line caught my attention. "I never realized the difference between having a provider and having a partner until I almost lost both." The 210 provider had evolved into a man who knew his worth and would accept nothing less than the respect that worth commanded. Some viewers might think I should have divorced her immediately after finding that scorecard. Others might say I was too harsh with the financial restrictions. But here's the truth. Respect isn't negotiable in a marriage. When someone systematically devalues your contribution while benefiting from it, you have 3 choices: accept it, leave, or demonstrate your actual value. I chose demonstration. Madison learned that actions have consequences. That contempt destroys relationships faster than any other emotion. That the man providing for your lifestyle isn't someone you mock with your girlfriends. He's someone you honor. Our marriage survived, but it was rebuilt from the ground up with new rules, new respect, and new understanding. The scorecard incident taught us both something valuable. True partnership isn't about keeping score. It's about mutual appreciation for what each person brings to the relationship. What do you think? Did he handle this correctly, or would you have done something different? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The most important scorecard in any relationship is the one you keep for yourself. Know your worth, demand the respect you deserve, and never settle for being undervalued by someone who benefits from your efforts. If this story resonated with you, make sure to subscribe for more real-life relationship insights. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest content. And remember, respect is earned through actions, not demanded through words. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.